To it.
I'm about to say, because you know the people watching. The
Yeah.
FBI, the people, they
Yeah.
watching.
I'm used to it, though. I'm used to it. Might as well be fresh if the Fed's watching, though, right?
You already know, we got talking code.
Yeah.
But so tell the audience a little bit about Geno.
Um, let's see. I mean, where do I start? Geno McLaughlin from Memphis, Tennessee, originally. I would say by way of New Orleans as well. I spent a large bit of my childhood also in New Orleans, Louisiana. My mom's from New Orleans, dad from Memphis. Shout out to Memphis one time, man. And also shout out to New Orleans, my second home. Ended up in Baton Rouge. Ironically, I had never been to Baton Rouge before I moved here. No, I take that back. I've been here one time before I moved here. Obviously, I knew about Southern and I knew about Shaq and LSU. So, yeah, that's all I knew. And so I ended up on Gardner Lane. They had goats over there. I was like, man, where am I? This place seemed country. But but in the years that I've been here, I will say Baton Rouge I've seen it explode. Like, I mean, the growth of Baton Rouge has been it's been strange, but also a good thing to watch. I mean, I remember Segan Lane, I think it was like a 2-lane street at the time. Over there where we live at Gardere, I mean, it was literally this little pocket of I ain't gonna say just poverty. It was home, but it was just this little pocket. There was nothing else around, nothing but trees and forests. I was like, man, I ain't never lived in no place like this. So, but no, that's my story. That's how I ended up in BR. Went to Southern. Went to Lehigh first. Ended up at Southern from there, and just kind of made it my home. So, since then, I've kind of plugged in, done a lot of different things. I was a singer first, doing that in high school. Shout out to my boys Trey Vador and Ian Vaughn. So I was one part of the group, Us Three. We did that professionally for about, man, I would say officially professional for probably about 10 years. But we also did, like I said, we started in high school, did a little bit of the whole college circuit too, but we were lucky enough to elevate. And then from there, kid, and, from there just kind of had to figure out what was next, kind of, I would say post music, although if you're an artist, you never really stop, right? And so, ended up in the last 5 years or so in this advocacy space. And not to jump ahead of your questions, but I just figured,
No,
just kind of preview it. Just kind of
it's your
ended up
part.
kind of
It's your
where I'm at now, and that's kind of taken me on a different journey. But I feel like just based on my background, who my pops was, who my family member, the things that I was exposed to growing up, this is who I was always destined to be. I think it just took certain circumstances, and timing to align for me to kind of blossom into this new version of who I am. So I'm happy to be here with you.
and I am humbled that you are here. I'm so sincere.
Yeah.
Because I know that you are a very busy man. I mean, if y'all have not followed Geno, please go follow him, and you'll see what I'm talking about. He's a very busy man, so he's taking the time to do this. So I was like, you make sure that you drink, so you unwind.
Absolutely, man.
this is
Absolutely.
this is totally just a chill out interview.
Yeah.
The whole purpose of Shakers and Movers is to find people that I really feel like is making moves and shaking up things in the community. So, I mean, I couldn't do a show and not ask you to do it.
No, no
Couldn't do
doubt.
it.
No doubt, man. Look, we can talk
So,
about it all. Music, politics, whatever you want to talk about. I'm yours for the next hour.
oh, shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, look. I kind of scripted it because I know, me and you was talking the other day, I can go all over the place. I'm like a little... So I was like, I have to script stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm probably still gonna go off topic.
No, it's all good.
Just a tad bit,
Yeah.
because you brought up singing,
Mhm.
and I have yet to hear you sing. I'm still hoping that one day I will.
Wait, was that
But he has a musical family though, because
Yeah.
your brother sings, and you have another brother that raps.
Yeah.
I don't know. Does JB sing too?
You know what? I don't think so. No, I mean he do a little something. You know how these rappers these days they want to be singers too. But nah, he's a for sure MC.
You got to follow your strength.
Yeah,
Your strength is rap.
yeah.
So right, you got two brothers that can sing.
That's
So
what he got me for.
you come from a musical family.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to talk more about not saying that singing and that your artwork is not your calling, because it is your gift. But you've discovered another calling, which actually I feel like that's how we connected. We didn't, believe it or not, we didn't connect. Even though I'm an artist, we didn't
Mm-hmm.
connect with you and your art.
Mm-hmm.
We connected with you, the activist,
Mm-hmm.
Geno. First, how do you feel being called an activist?
I mean, look, I'm fine with it now. I think initially, God, it was obviously early 2016, the first time I saw, that attached to me. And I thought it was strange. And I didn't like it at the time because I was thinking to myself, well, first of all, I'm gonna define me for me, right? And then there's also so many negative connotations that people like to assign, with that term, activist. And so, but now, you know what? I'm fine with it, because yeah, as I shared with you, in the past, I feel like whether it's negative or positive, any sort of, uh, term that you want to, give to me is fine because at the end of the day, I must be doing something right. If even if it's negative, right? I must have your attention for a reason. And so I'm fine, I'm fine with that. Now I'll tell you, it took a while getting used to being known as something other than an artist though, right? Because literally since I was a child, that's all I've been known as, oh yeah, Gino, oh boy, they sing, right? That dude. You know how black people do. It's either the car you drive, oh boy, they got the, whatever funny looking hairstyle. But that was always what I was known as. And so I guess being rebranded, is as long as it's for as long as it's for something good, then I'm good with it, man. I'm good with it.
I'm about to say because like it was so natural when I first met you. I mean, I would have assumed, that this this role,
Mhm.
this and not role like you're acting, but your
Yeah,
new role as an activist, like you've been like that's something you've been doing because you're so natural with it.
yeah.
You're I would say your personality as an activist is a quiet storm. Like I mean, you're very patient, especially when you're talking, but you could feel the passion. You could feel it,
I would say that's
and
me in general, to be honest with you. I'm more laid back than I probably seem, especially depending if you get me going, right? I'm way more laid back than that. High school, I was really laid back, and I wouldn't quite say shy, right? Shy wouldn't be the right term, but more introverted than not. But because I have such a, I guess, public persona, or I have to do so many public things, I've I've settled into that, and I've kind of learned, how to turn it up when I need to, and then I get in my car, I shut off the radio, and I be quiet for a little bit, what I'm saying, recharge, and go do the next thing. So that's a good descriptor, a quiet storm. I like that. Yeah.
yeah,
Look. I'm gonna turn on my Barry White voice. Back in the day, I was when I went to Southern, I was a mass comm student, and I did for my radio broadcast class. I did a quiet storm.
come
Quiet storm
on.
with
You heard
McLaughlin.
that?
Yeah, yeah. So no,
Oh, I got that 1-900 voice. Y'all
I
heard
think
that?
I think it's cool, man. I think it's cool.
All of a sudden, my ladies count gonna jump up.
Hold on, let me see who all on here. Shout out to the
Like,
ladies. Shout out to the fellas too, though.
it's like, well, I tell you what, that when I actually download the video,
Mhm.
I have a lot of view counts. And then when I put it on my Facebook page, which will probably be Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yes. Hold on. I dropped my stuff. But I wanted to ask you, what causes do you feel like I mean, because I know you have a whole bunch of them, but which ones do you feel like are really near and dear to your heart?
Oh man, that's I would say first and foremost it's training of new leaders, and that normally for me starts with young people. Um, I I don't want to be doing this for the rest of my life. Sure, I will always speak truth to power. That's just kind of going to be a universal thing, right? But at the same time, you know, often power or influence, it's never given, right? You have to take it, and so. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I want to be passing the torch to other ones, to others now. And so training up new people, man. And I've done that really since I got into this new space. Have always been engaged with the young people over at McKinley. Shout out to my people over at Humanities AMP and all the good work that they're doing, training up young people. We started a group called Justice X, and then that kind of spawned another group. I've done a ton of mentorship, even just kind of one-on-one. But so for me, that would be first and foremost, just making sure that, uh, not empowering young people because they already have power, but just kind of giving them space and also, I guess, some pointers because you will make mistakes, right? Because the idea
You're
is,
Dr. X
yeah, not
from the X-Men.
yeah, with the bald head
You know,
too,
you got
right?
all these little X-Men. They have all these little powers. They don't know
Yeah,
what the hell they're doing.
yeah. No, I
And
mean,
you come in and you help them.
so look, I mean, the reality is, I'm gonna say I started in high school. It wasn't in a formal sense, right? But and I've told this story 1,000 times at this point. People know it. Um, when I was in high school, I went to Robert E. Lee High School, right? And so at that time, it was, Confederate flags everywhere. It was, I mean, Rebelliers. These are the names of the groups. It was Days of Dixie. This was the environment that we went to school in. Now, mind you,
What year are we talking about, by the way? Because you
you trying to
young
get
as
me to
hell.
tell
What year are we talking about?
you trying to get me to tell my age. I'm not about to do that. What?
But it was
I
before
was
2021, Todd.
I'm saying, it was some year. It was back in the gap for sure. But yeah, see, you trying to get me to tell my age. Um, but no, look, so that was the environment, right? Now, I come from Memphis, like I told y'all. And in Memphis, the middle school I went to was the Colonial Colonels. Our mascot was a colonel, which was like this little Confederate figure, right? And so they changed that when I was in like eighth grade, seventh or eighth grade, right? Fast forward, I was headed to high school. I was going to go down the street to my brother's school at Overton High School, right? They were the Overton Rebels. Well, just before I got there, they actually changed that mascot to the Wolverines. All of this is obviously steeped in the Confederacy. I moved from Memphis. I ended up in Baton Rouge, and now I'm at the Robert E. Lee High School Rebels, right? And so is this odd, that my entire life I have been, kind of surrounded by Confederate imagery, right? And so also, I told you I grew up on Gardere here in VR. And so Hermitage was the name of our little subdivision, right? Every single street in Hermitage is named after a Confederate general.
It
I
sure is.
I was on General Beauregard myself, and so you
Wait, is
know,
Gardere? He's a Confederate general too?
no. Gardere was just really the street name, but
But
the
I know they got like
subdivision Hermitage. Hermitage is actually a reference to the plantation home, but General Beauregard was the name of my street. That's a Confederate general. You had General Beauregard, Taylor, Jackson,
I'm
Lee.
about
I
to
mean,
say it was a lot of
oh yeah,
generals.
it's all generals. It's all generals. Yeah, yeah, and all Confederate generals at that. And so it's just odd, right, that I would be placed in that. And but when you're a high school student, all you want to do is, look, I'm checking for girls. I'm trying to, see what's up for homecoming. Like that's where
Trying to
you're.
learn how to do the Rhythm Nation
Yeah,
dance.
well,
I'm
no,
still trying to figure out your age.
that's a little bit before me. You know what I'm saying? That's a little bit before me
That's how
right
you figure out people's
there.
age. What dance can you do? Can you do this
Yeah,
dance? Can you do what it's called?
yeah. But and I'll fast forward through that story. The reality is, that is really where my, I would say, activism or advocacy first started in 11th grade, Mr. Coach Mitchell's class. We're talking about the Civil War, and he's like, "Yo, Civil War had nothing to do with slavery." And I was like, "Wait, what? Nah, nah,
Wait,
nah,
what?
nah. That's not true, sir." And so we get into this, I'd say heated, but it wasn't disrespectful. But I was firm. He was, trying to stand his ground, as they like to do. And eventually, throughout that exchange, he relented. Right, he had to acknowledge that slavery. I mean, that slavery was a
And this was
key
a
component.
teacher.
This was a teacher. This was a teacher, which goes to show you, here I am at this high school, and all I wanted to do was be educated and be a normal high school student and blend in, right? But at the same time, um, you know, I felt compelled to speak up in that moment, right? And that was the first time after being there, for 2 years. I'm in 11th grade at that point. And so it just kind of led me to that moment, now I've seen my dad, throughout his whole life and my whole life up to that point, talking about the same stuff. I mean, I grew up having a membership to NAACP, grew up in meetings with whether it's the Urban League, I mean, any sort of meeting you could think of, right? And so just to find myself in that position and then to speak up was just, it was probably where this all starts. And so long story short, and then probably, if you're from Baton Rouge, you know that some years later, we were actually able to get the name of the high school changed. And so I think what I learned from that, though, is that you don't always win initially, right? Sometimes you're fighting a fight that others will actually benefit from, or maybe you're starting a discussion that others will pick up for you and finish for you, right? Luckily, I was able, though, to be one of the ones to actually finish that fight. So that was pretty cool.
And I definitely wanted to bring that up.
Yeah.
For those of y'all who do not, he was talking earlier about Robert E. Lee. I didn't know, they changed it from Robert E. Lee to Lee.
Yeah.
So when my children, I'm not originally from here. It's like, hey, S. McNeil. I moved here from Alexandria about 14, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So when my children came along, I didn't know what high schools. I didn't know anything about Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
So my mentor, Donnie Rose, I asked his honest opinion because I wanted to pull him out of Woodlawn because I didn't particularly care for Woodlawn High. And this is just my opinion. I don't care for Woodlawn High when it comes to my Black children.
Yeah.
So when I was shopping around for high schools, he brought up Lee. And he was like, but Todd, I'm going to be honest with you. That name is sensitive. I was like, shout out to Donnie. That name is sensitive. I was like, what you mean? What's the name? He's like, it's named after Robert E. Lee. They call themselves changing the name, but it's still named after Robert E. Lee. And he's like, it's kind of like going to a school that was called Robert Kelly. That's what he said, right?
No, I mean,
now you're at Kelly High School.
Absolutely, yeah.
Or Kelly High School.
I can see Donnie saying that for sure.
Okay,
yeah.
I got it.
Yeah.
You brought the point home. The name is offensive. Got it. Okay. But, the school itself was great. And it was predominantly Black. That's what I didn't understand. Here it is. You have a predominantly Black high school that's named Lee.
Yeah.
I can't tell you the ratio when it comes to teachers, but I can tell as a teacher, because I was an educator, it just seems like it's more white teachers teaching Black children than it is Black teachers teaching Black children.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's about. And not necessarily that only Black teachers need to be teaching Black children, but Black teachers do need to be teaching Black children.
No, I agree.
I don't know if I just made sense.
I agree.
But I'm so thankful. The children at the school won't understand it. Yeah. And I don't understand it now.
Yeah.
They're going to understand it later. What you and others did for them that day by changing that name.
Yeah.
I don't really care for Liberty. They should have did John Lewis.
Well,
they punked out.
Look, I was fighting. I was certainly advocating for PBS Pinchback, who was the first, or actually the only Black governor. I'm sorry, the first Black governor of any state. That was actually during Reconstruction. So that's what I was pushing for. To kind of, if you take, and it was actually during Reconstruction, right? And so to go from Robert E. Lee in that same time frame to then move it over to a historical Black figure, I thought would have been appropriate. But I mean, I think Liberty is certainly better than Lee. So, it's a win. It's a win. We'll take that win. Shout out to my homie. Shout out to my homie Terry.
The hotel, it's still a W.
My homie Terry, he logged in, man. I just want to give a shout out to my homie Terry, from my childhood friend from Memphis. I brought up Memphis, man.
Taylor said Liberty High is so basic.
It is.
They fucked out.
She's right. It is. I mean, look, look, it was, the fix was in from the beginning, right? I even sat on the committee to recommend names, and I fought hard to get PBS Pinchback just in the final two that we could vote on. I'm sorry, the final three that we could vote on. But we missed an opportunity there, I think, to actually do something historic. Obviously, changing the name was great, but I think that would have been national headlines right there.
The name that you changed it to, right?
Yeah.
Like they said, Liberty.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, it's also too, it's like you got to pick your battles, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, we're just gonna roll with this Liberty thing.
Yeah.
But thank you. I never said that, so thank you. And I don't think you realize the importance that how it hit this house, what you guys did. My son will be the first graduating class of Liberty High School.
Word, that's dope, man. That's dope. That's dope. Yeah, that's dope to hear.
So
Yeah,
thank you for that.
yeah.
But amongst changing names and stuff,
Hmm.
do you feel like the summer of 2016, I know you're not originally from Baton Rouge, but
Hmm.
you've been here way longer than I have.
Hmm.
Still trying to get your age here. But you
Somebody knows it. Watch, they gonna put it in the comments soon. Watch.
somebody put it in the comments. But
Yeah.
anyway, but no. So I mean, do you feel like the summer of 2016, you had Alton Sterling getting murdered, you had the cops getting murdered, you
Mhm.
had the flood, you had all these things that's happening in the summer 2016. I felt like an apocalypse was happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you feel like it changed Baton Rouge for the better or for the worse?
Nah, for the better, man. Like straight up for the better. And when I say that, right, it was tumultuous. It was traumatic, right? And when I say for the better, what it did was it created this ecosystem of young advocates, right? When I say young, young and old, right? People flooded to the streets. I think there was something that had always been pent up. Baton Rouge has a history of advocacy. Um, that we don't all often uplift. Sure, we'll talk about the bus boycott, right? But there was long, this undergird of activist students at Southern University, for instance, right, who led the Crest lunch counter sit-ins downtown. The ones, that they were at, the Smith Brown Memorial Union is named after two young Black activists who were just trying to change their school, right? And unfortunately, they were murdered, by the Louisiana State Police at the time. And so, there's always been this history of advocacy, but I think in comparison to, I would say maybe New Orleans, right? New Orleans kind of, as they often do, overshadowed us, right? And yet, since 2016, I will say that Baton Rouge has really overshadowed all the other cities in the state in regards to advocacy, right? Now, you could, previous to 2016, you could go down to New Orleans and actually get paid to be an advocate because there was this, I don't know, industry, right? Jobs that existed,
Really?
oh, absolutely, absolutely. But you've seen since then some of that start to come here. And really, when you look at since 2016, most of your national stories, you know, have really come from here, and really have come from a small select group of people who have kind of used their either public platforms or have used the relationships with other national figures to make sure that these stories that we're sharing are actually being shared with the world so we can actually get some traction, right? Because a lot of times the movement that you've seen happen, it would not have happened at least unless the slow work was being done behind the scenes, unless these calls were like, yo, bro, I need you to push this story for me so that we can get the mayor or get the council or the chief to actually move on something. And so, yeah, man, it's, since 2016, man, I've met so many people that have both inspired me, have poured into me, right? But then I've also been able to pay that forward and bring, with us some, tons of really powerful young people, as well as some of our elders who were doing this back in the gap, and now they've also reemerged to kind of, lead this moment. So it's been like I said, traumatic, but it was also dope to watch the emergence of these, local leaders, and some of who have gone on to become regional and even national figures. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I just in a time period that I officially became, I guess you could say, a professional poet in 2015.
Yeah.
That was me stepping into my call, and
Yeah.
you were saying earlier how, yeah, activism, that's always been a part of you, but something had to activate it.
Yeah.
It's like, that's me in poetry. Like,
Yeah.
what activated me to become a professional poet, and mainly, my subject matter tends to be about Black men, Black Lives Matter. It tends
Hmm.
to be about that. Is because of it just seemed like every time I was turning on the television, there was a Black man getting murdered, and nothing was happening.
Yeah.
And being a mother, so like your mom has three sons. When I hear Black mothers that have Black sons, not I mean Black sons specifically,
Hmm.
is my heart just beats different. I
Yeah.
can't really explain it, because there's a fear that is attached to a mother who is who has a Black son. And I have to tell my daughter all the time, it's not that I don't love you, I don't care about you, and I wouldn't give my life for you, but I have to pay attention to this one just a little bit more.
Yeah.
You know? And that's what brought me into poetry, because especially after the verdict of Lord, which one?
There you
I
go.
feel like they
Which
all
one?
just
Which
yeah,
one?
like Trayvon
Yeah.
Martin. Trayvon
Yeah.
Martin was the one that brought me to poetry as
Yeah.
professional. Because that one, it didn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
This man wasn't even a cop.
Yeah.
How did he get off?
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, that's what brought me. But anyway, this is clearly not about me. But I wanted to definitely highlight like the importance of your work and what you're doing, you know. And hold up, I got another question. Hold on. Go. I told you I go. I like a loop.
No, it's all good, man.
But
We
you know,
hanging out. We hanging
go.
out.
Like doing good, Tar. Keep going. Going full circle to something else that you do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for Baton Rouge,
Mm-hmm.
Black Restaurant Week.
Mm.
That's you.
Yeah, yeah. I forget about that sometimes. Yeah, you're right.
You do so much.
Yeah.
But tell everybody about Black Restaurant Week. What is that? When is that? How does somebody become a part of that?
Yeah, so Black Restaurant Week, let me just give you the backstory. It is not an original concept. There were a couple of Black Restaurant Weeks that were happening kind of around the country, right? There was a few that had happened. I think Houston had one. I know Memphis had one. And a couple of cities had this Black Restaurant Week thing, right? And so I said to myself, why not BR, right? Because, you know, at that time, we were trying to have this conversation about buy Black. Period. That's, you know, but to some people that's controversial, right? Not to me, but to some people, right? That's controversial to white folks. To some white folks, that's controversial, right? What do you mean buy Black? Why not? But you know how they try to all lives matters, right? And so, what Black Restaurant, at least for us, what that became about was, here is a way to have this conversation about supporting Black entrepreneurs, right? And what I knew was that they love our food, right? You can say buy Black, but they love our food, and so this was one way to celebrate our culture and celebrate Black entrepreneurs, and also have this conversation about recirculating the Black dollar, because you know the Black dollar goes in and goes out, right? I mean, literally one time. It does not turn over in our community, and so that's really what the impetus was like, yo, we need to do something about this. And yes, it is imperative for the government to, you know, we're going to hold them accountable to do the things that they say that they're going to do for our community, right? We come for everything that y'all didn't give our grandparents and our ancestors, right? However, there are things that we can do for ourselves right now, like supporting Black-owned businesses. And so back in I think that was 2017, I can't even remember. Maybe 2018, I believe. Myself, shout out to Gary Chambers too, man. He just ran for U.S. Congress. Me and Gary, we was having a conversation. I was already planning on moving with Black Restaurant Week, and so we was having a conversation. I think he had a show at the time on the radio. I had just done the radio show. We were standing outside of Guarantee Broadcasting downtown. We were like, yo, look, we're just kind of planning out 2018. He was talking about the Black Ball, which has gone on to do amazing things, honoring Black folk, right? Our version of 40 Under 40.
Oh, that was y'all? I didn't know that. I didn't know who did that.
That's Gary. Yeah, that's the Rouge Collection. That's Gary, man. Yeah. But that conversation started literally right outside this radio station, and I told him about Black Restaurant. He's like, man, I thought about that too. So we decided to do it together. Just kind of ran with that idea. We've gone on, man, to you know, showcase and honor a ton of different restaurants. Shout out to Royal Taste of Jamaica, who has moved on from just when I met Mike back in 2018 at the first Black Restaurant Week, he was literally a what I would call a mobile kitchen, right? So he was, as you are, right? He was cooking out of his kitchen at home at that time. 2018, he was cooking out of his kitchen at home, and people would order their food and they'd come to pick it up, right? And so we highlighted him, and then started inviting him to also be a part of like different events, food truck roundups that I do. And so, man, how about in the last 3-4 years, he has literally progressed from being And this is not a knock at all, but a kitchen cook, food vendor, whatever term you want to put on that, to now being a full-blown brick and mortar restaurant owner downtown at the old Christina's restaurant, 320 St. Charles Street, man. These are the success stories that I'm talking about, right? And of course, it's not just about bringing, entrepreneurs from food trucks to being a restaurant owner. It's also highlighting those restaurants that have been around for 20, 30 years, but they never get the investment. They also never get honored. There was already a restaurant week, but when I looked at the list, there were no black restaurants being honored on that list, right? And so I said to myself, well, why is that? Is that race? I wouldn't 100% put it solely on race, right? Or racism or anything like that. What I would say is that Restaurant Week, and shout out to Dig Magazine, they're the ones who put on Restaurant Week, but they typically will include restaurants of a certain class, right? I didn't want to participate in anything because if you know anything about black restaurants or black entrepreneurs, a lot of times we start behind, right?
Hole in the wall.
Absolutely, man. We don't have the money. We don't have the
Could
400
be some of the
years.
best food.
Absolutely, we taught them how to cook. But I digress.
Right.
I digress. But it really was to say that I have seen restaurants, I have seen food truck, I have seen chefs get offered opportunities from outside investors, right? Never had a restaurant in their life, but an outside investor will come in and say, "Hey, I want to give you some money to start a restaurant." I'm like, "Well, what about the black chefs? What about the restaurants that in our community that have been around for 20, 30 years that are clearly successful at this point? Why not just pour some money into invest in that, right? Start a franchise of some of these, right? Or help just to upgrade, the facilities, And so it was just frustration, right? Looking at the plight of black people and entrepreneurs, and so trying to do something about it for free. It's a free list that we put out, we curate it, we try to find out who all the restaurants are, we try to find out who the chefs are, who the food trucks are, who the whatever are, and try to put it out there at least once a year. It'll probably be during Juneteenth this year, most likely. Yeah, I hadn't had a chance to settle down to really even give it any real thought, but most likely be Juneteenth 2021.
Because you and there's this group NGP.
Yeah, shout out to
I guess
Dad. Shout out to
I'm about to
Dad.
say
I'm
shout
saying
out to
Kofa, man.
Desmond Barrow
Yeah,
and his
yeah,
crew.
yeah,
These are fine young black men who go
yeah.
around, and I really do think they take your list
Look,
and say
they
these
was
are the
doing that.
places we're gonna go.
They was doing that before we ever started. Like, I don't want to take ownership for black people being intentional about shopping black, but
But no,
again,
yeah, I know y'all
yeah,
go hand in hand. I'm
yeah,
sure
of
he,
course,
also does. They do their research,
yeah,
but I'm sure you help him along or help them along
yeah.
with
No, I
your
mean, look, we have
list.
definitely elevated, the conversation around black restaurants for sure, or black chefs in the black food industry for sure.
So
And I'm proud of it. I'm proud of that. I ain't gonna lie. So I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you brought that up.
that is so. You know
Yeah.
what? It is so funny. All the things that you have done and all the things that you've accomplished. I think what it is that you're so humble that it's like water off a duck's back. It just slides off. Like, okay, yeah. Oh yeah, I did do that. Oh yeah, I did that too. Yeah.
Nah,
But
man, I
I mean, and they're
appreciate it.
all great things. They're all
Yeah.
like outstanding things. I want to be like you when I grow up.
Oh man, look.
So, I got a couple more questions for you before we do our game. I get excited about this game.
I'm ready
Now
for the
you saw
game.
what
I
Brittany
saw it.
got
Yeah.
3 out of 3.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, you
And
got me
not too many
sweating over
people
here. You
get
got
three
me
out of three,
sweating.
brother.
I feel pressure.
You feel?
I feel pressure.
And also, let
But
me
I'm ready
add
though.
this: it's usually a woman that gets 3 out of 3. Ooh.
I mean, because look, I mean, black women rock, right? Black women, absolutely. I get it. I get it.
He's like, I'm not even arguing with that
Nah,
fact.
not gonna get me in trouble with my people. Not tonight. Ain't gonna happen. Ain't gonna happen.
Well, you know what? You already answered one of them, so I really only got one more question.
Okay.
So, you have you have gotten a lot of accolades, and I don't really feel like my introduction to you gave you justice at all. But one of the awards that you received was the 40 under 40, and I was so proud like I reposted on my page because I was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
like this is amazing,
Yeah.
and I'm so grateful and thankful. I know that people, it's like, well, yeah, I don't really put much into awards and stuff
Mhm.
like that, but to be recognized, I mean, I'm just glad, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's just nice to be recognized for hard
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
But I would ask you, like, once you start getting recognized for all your hard work and everything, do you feel like it has allowed your voice to magnify? Like, were you able to now reach more people? Or do you feel like it's stifled it? Like, you know, it's not helping it. Like, it's doing the opposite.
That's a good question. That's a really good question. I would say both, right? It's obviously amplified it, right? Anytime, and you are right. I had to arrive at the place of allowing myself to quote unquote smell the roses, right? The year before, I actually got honored. A couple people reached out like, "Yo, I'm gonna nominate you." Shout out to Donnie Rose. He had gotten 40 under 40, I think, the year before that, if I remember correctly. Um, and people like us typically don't, right? And so for me, I was like, man, I don't need no validation. And it was coming from a publication, Baton Rouge Business Report, who was, I guess they were trying to do better. But again, if you looked at the numbers, we're talking about 40 individuals who were being honored. And usually you had about 4 or 5 Black people who maybe make the list, right? And so
In a city
obviously,
that has
it's
55, 60% Black folks, but
thank
I
you.
digress.
No, absolutely. And that criticism was not missed, by me, right? And so I had told a friend of mine who reached out to me, man, I'm gonna nominate you. I was like, no, nah, don't even worry about it, right? Don't even worry about it. Because I was, I was heavy in the activism and I just didn't want to be distracted by that. And I didn't need the validation from any list or them. Um,
Right.
and as the next year came about, I didn't actually ask for the nomination. A couple people actually did nominate me still. Uh, and so when they reached out to me, said, "Hey, look, you've been nominated, and we want to, we want to honor you on such and such day." I said, "You know what? This doesn't come about every year, or this doesn't come about for all of us, right? How can I both take some time to smell the roses because I have been out here doing some work, right? And it is good to, to if anybody recognizes anything that you've done, but how can I also take this moment to be who I really am, right? And talk about the absence of others. How can I fill up, how can I use my presence to fill up this space and say, I'm here because others who came before me, right? But then also give voice to others who should be here right alongside of me. And so that's really exactly what I did. I think I made them uncomfortable to an extent. The publisher
Thank you.
and some of the good people over there, because they were like, well, here he is. We chose to honor him, and he's kind of taking these shots. And it wasn't me taking shots, but what it was actually speaking truth and saying, "Yo, look, I'm one of 5 Black people who are on this list out of 40 people, right? Out of 40 people, ain't no way you can tell me. Hell, I can name 20 people right now, 20 Black people right now that are probably, better accolades or should have been
Have a
honored
longer
before
list
now.
than the people that was
Yeah,
already on it,
yeah.
right?
And so like, nah, I'm going to use my platform to make sure I speak up for those people while at the same time saying thank you to anybody who felt that I was worthy of being recognized. So it was a good moment, and I learned a lesson to stop and be okay with smelling the roses, so to speak. So it was a
It's
cool
totally
moment. It was a
okay.
cool moment. Yeah, it was a cool
It's
moment.
totally okay.
Yeah,
And then I look at the list now. Have you seen the recent list?
absolutely. And look, I said that. I said that because it literally doubled from the year from the year. And so I said, you know what? Maybe this is why God put me on that list that particular year. Because if my advocacy or if my words had anything to do with ensuring that more representation. Now, again, that was only 10, but literally it went from 5 to 10 in 1 year, and so
It doubled.
yeah, it doubled.
Because
And
at
so
one time it was like 1 or 2.
absolutely, absolutely,
Like then it
absolutely.
just and
Yeah,
I'm glad,
yeah,
because like I
yeah,
said, in a city that has 55-60% black
yeah. That's ridiculous.
and
That's
nobody
ridiculous.
black on the list.
Well, and see, and that's why, again, going back to whether it's the not Black Restaurant Week, I'm sorry, the Black Ball, right? That is our answer to that, right? That is why we have to be able to tell our own stories. It is what Black Restaurant Week is about. Is we have to have our own platforms to honor our own because we are deserving, right? We don't necessarily need them to honor us, but damn it, if you're gonna do it, then do it right, And if you're gonna put somebody like me on the list, understand that this is what it comes along with. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I wish one day that, and maybe in the future, I will come up with a ceremony to award like artists, because I feel like people
Yeah,
in the art world, we work so hard. Oh
yeah,
God, we work so hard. And
yeah.
there's really nothing around here like a ceremony or anything. So advocacy, all none of
You
that.
got my
It
brain.
doesn't
Hold on, now
really.
you got my brain. You got my brain going.
Come
We might have
on.
to collab on
Oh,
something.
look.
We might have to
I'm
collab on something.
saying, you think about it, like there's
Yeah,
so many people that put hard work into the murals
yeah,
downtown. People who are doing showcases,
yep,
eclectic truth.
yep,
When they like, there's people that's doing it, and
yeah.
no one's getting recognition. Not that we're doing it for
Right,
recognition,
right, right.
but it's nice to hear someone say, "Great job."
To
That's
celebrate
all I'm saying.
to be able to
Just nice.
celebrate the impact that people are having, right? To whether it's the stuff that we did with us three, but when I look at that whole group of people who was literally building this culture of artistry at the time, right? Donnie Rose, shout out to Rage, shout out to the all the guys who are now in Mike Foster Project, right? But a lot of those
Come
dudes, man,
on.
we was literally building this this thing of ours, right? And now to see so many, artists thriving and to see others come behind, my little brother, he came and did his thing. It's just to be able to honor those people, I think it's okay. It's okay.
It's
Yeah.
totally okay.
Yeah.
I'm not in a position to do it now, and I'm just sitting there thinking about stuff. So
Yeah.
I know
Well, just
somebody gonna bring it up. I thought you was gonna do.
Well,
Anyway,
just
so
know this. Look, from me to you have made an impact on the city in your short time being here, and so we appreciate, all that you have done to add to the city, to the region, to the ecosystem of artistry. But also, look, uh, I've said in the past, art is also activism as well, and so I think I brought up a Nina Simone quote a couple of years ago that says, "How can you be an artist and not reflect the times?" Right? And so whatever your gift is, whatever your platform is, right, you can reflect out into society about what's going on, right, and tell the story. And so you've done that. And so salute to you as well. Smell the roses.
thank you.
Yeah.
You're right. It is hard for someone to say you did a great
It
job.
is, right? It is. It is.
Look, I'm trying my best not to even get emotional over here.
Yeah.
Like, it's not about me. This is about you. But it also speaks volumes about you, Geno. It really, truly does. So thank you.
Yeah, you will.
But
You
are
deserve
you
it.
ready for this game?
Let's play it. Let's play games. Let's play games. Not that I
So
play
I told
games,
you,
ladies.
okay, hip hop, Taylor, #1 artist curated in VR. Who, me? See, that's my best friend. Come on, best friend.
Shout out to Taylor Scott, man. I'm glad to see you
Love
back on
Taylor. That is
Instagram.
the Taylor Scott
Back on
that said that.
Instagram.
Come on.
Yeah.
We'll screenshot that.
Yeah. We got to do lunch one of these days.
Oh, yeah. Earlier, she called you Geno Smino. We're going to talk about that. This is one of after our conversation.
I mean, look, that's my homie right there, man. That's my dog, man. I tell you what though, when we hook up, I'm driving. She is not driving. One of us is driving, either me or you. She cannot drive. Now there's a story with that, but I'm not gonna air that out on Instagram live because I got love from sis. It's all good.
The
She's
mimosa
probably
almost
mad at me
came
now.
out the nose. Like, oh, we'll just get an Uber.
Yeah, we can get an Uber. We can get an Uber. We can get an Uber. I'll pay for it.
Uber just
Yeah,
train on out.
yeah.
But I like playing the game with hip hop because hip hop is near and dear to me. Speaking of hip hop, I'd be remiss if I don't say, shout out to DMX, rest in power and
Man,
paradise.
yeah,
That
yeah,
took me. Oh my God.
yeah. No, me
But
too.
it seems like all of our heroes are relocating to the cemetery. It really does.
Yeah.
Um,
Unfortunately, because he was way too young, troubled artist who was traumatized at a very young age and fought, and battled those demons throughout his life, man. But he was a god on that mic. He was a god on that mic, man. And so
oh man.
I remember being introduced to him from my homie Chad. We took a trip out to Jackson, Mississippi, back in the Gap. And man, he put me on DMX at that time, man. And I'm glad, because for many people, again, we've all experienced some level of trauma, right? Um, and many of us, we fight, both the good side and that bad side, right? He's both talking to God, and he's also talking to Damien or the devil at the time, and having these conversations, these two things at war. And so, man, it was uncomfortable, but at the same time, I think that sort of art is also necessary, man. And it was honest. It was honest.
I was about to say he was wrong with it. And
Yeah,
I know some rap artists what they're rapping about, they haven't lived that life.
yeah,
Not at all.
yeah.
But DMX made me feel like he lived that life.
Yeah, no, he did, man. From a stick-up kid, but also this kid who, he was introduced to crack at 13, I think 13 or 14, by a so-called friend of his, and then goes on to battle that demon, throughout the rest of his life, man. It's just, but then also to use his art and let that actually be reflective in his art, I just always found that relatable and in him to be human in that way, and so yeah, man, he was, one of the God MCs out here.
I know. And I mean,
Yeah,
we got some dope. See, whenever I do the awards, that's another group that needs to be recognized. The
yeah,
underground kings and queens of
yeah,
hip hop
yeah.
right here
No
in
doubt.
VR.
No doubt. No doubt. No doubt.
So I told you guys earlier that Geno comes from a musical family. Okay. So keeping that in mind,
I'm empty over here too.
this, you know, these questions are geared to family in hip hop.
Okay.
I
Okay.
had to
Oh
do some
Lord.
research on this, to be honest with you. So good luck.
All right. All right. Google.
But I try to make
Hey
the questions
Siri.
easy. I really do. I really don't be trying to like mess with y'all like that.
Yeah.
All right. So first one, it's 3 questions.
All right.
These 2 stepbrothers reside in the West Coast, where one of the brothers was the founding member of NWA, and the other one was a regulator.
I know this. NWA though. Oh, Warren G and Dr. Dre, right?
Come on,
Yeah.
hey, got that first one.
Yeah. If I had drink in my cup, I would sip. But all right, drink some water. Drink some water to that. Yeah.
You gonna drink some water? Nah, I gotta be focused. Hold on, wait.
This is like an episode of Drink.
Well, you got 1, 2 more. You ready?
Yeah. All right.
All right.
All right.
Number 2. These 2 brothers were part of a group with hits like "Forever My Lady," and they have a cousin who won American Idol.
Did they coin the term "ooh yeah"?
Ooh, yeah.
Ooh, yeah. Who is Casey and JoJo?
Who's the cousin?
I don't know. That's not. Is this bonus points? Or do you,
I'm about to say, you know what? I'm gonna give it to you, but try to do it. It's a girl, American Idol.
American Idol, Fantasia.
There you go. See?
Okay. All right. Yeah, no, I didn't know that. You told me something. I did not know that.
Oh, come
Did not know
through.
that.
And then you still got it. This is a
Yeah,
Fantasia.
exactly, man.
Well, you
Yeah.
know what? Whenever I go to like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, I'm bringing you. You the
Look,
phone a friend.
my first concert that I went to was actually a Jodeci concert. Very first concert ever in life. It was look, not I'm probably gonna show my age now. It was a MC. It was Hammer. It was a Hammer World Tour. It was Hammer, Boys to Men, and Jodeci. Now this is epic though.
You
This is
MC Hammer was there?
MC Hammer. He headlines. MC
That was
Hammer.
my
I
first
think
concert.
I think Too Legit to Quit. What was it? Too Legit to Quit, something like that. Whatever. The Too Legit to Quit World Tour. Yeah, it was Hammer. It was Jodeci and Boys
Actually,
to
I'm gonna
Men.
be
You
honest with you. It
talking
wasn't
about
too legit. It was
okay?
Turn This Mother.
Okay, that was
It was
before
his
that.
very
That was before
first.
that. Then okay, yeah,
Right.
yeah,
It was
yeah.
that concert. Before that,
Gotcha.
yeah. That's
Yeah,
how old I am. Okay.
yeah.
So
It was a dope
you
concert
back
though.
two out of
Dope,
two.
man.
Come on.
All right. Let's keep it rolling. Keep it
Represent
rolling.
for the XY chromosome. Because they be coming up in here losing this shit.
Throw up the X. Throw up the X.
All right.
All
Know
right.
you're gonna get this one.
Okay.
Number 3. These musically inclined cousins were part of a group that included Lauryn Hill. It had songs like Ready or Not and Killing Them Softly.
Yeah. So am I naming the group who are the Fugees or am I naming the cousins?
Naming the cousins.
All right. So Praz and Wyclef Jean. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
High five! You got that?
Boom. Bam. Shout out to the Fugees, man.
Like what? Damn.
Yeah.
What? People come out here and lose this song? Yes.
Yeah. So 3 for 3.
Yes.
Look, we holding it. It's a hot boy summer. Holding it down for the fellas out here. We 3 for 3. Yeah.
It's like we got this. You know what I'm saying? Putting us back on the map. Come on,
Yeah.
Geno.
Yeah.
But y'all, again, the wonderful, the amazing Geno. You have to tell everybody like where to find you, what you got going on, all of that before we let you go.
I mean, you already queued up Black Restaurant Week, so Black Restaurant Week will be coming up. Hopefully in a couple of months. I'm eyeing Juneteenth of 2021. So follow that on Instagram or even Facebook at Eat Black BR at Eat Black BR. That's both on Instagram and Facebook. So yeah, that's over there. Me, obviously Geno _1911. I might change my name one of these days. I don't know. But yeah, do that over on Instagram and what am I on Facebook? Walter Geno McLaughlin.
Hey,
On
little
Facebook.
Walter.
Yeah. You are not the first person to ever say that. But you're showing your age too, though. I'm showing mine just by the fact that I know that song. But yeah, so I mean, look, obviously, I currently director of community engagement for Bill Baton Rouge. So follow them and some of the work that we're trying to do to transform communities here in Baton Rouge, specifically right now, North Baton Rouge and Plank Road, Scotlandville, and all these Black neighborhoods, man, and really neighborhoods in general. I mean, I got some of the other things. There are things that I am not remembering.
You missed.
That I should
I
be
missed.
talking about. But
Like that song that's probably on YouTube that I'm gonna Google later.
Oh man, it probably is. It probably is. My homie TikTok put up our old CD
You have a
cover.
TikTok?
No, I said my his name is TikTok. He's actually one of my old producers. He put up our old album cover in his story just yesterday. So yeah, it's out there somewhere. It's out there. Yeah. We actually got
like
sued.
I was trying to hide it.
We got sued for the name, and so if you Google it, there's not as much that's left on the internet anymore because we got sued there was a famous group in remember the song Dip Trip Flip Fantasia. Maybe not, you maybe not remember that, but anyway, Flip Fantasia. That group in London was called Us Three, and so we came out. You know, we doing our thing, we making noise. They found out about us because we moving units, and yeah, we got sued, and so. A lot of the stuff that we had, because back then we was on MTV, VH1, all of that stuff. A lot of that stuff is no longer on there, but I'm sure that there's I'm sure that there's some remnants on the internet, but a lot of stuff has been taken off just because of the whole name conflict that we had. Yeah.
That's like Bobby Valentino. He went from Bobby Valentino to Bobby V.
Bobby V, yeah.
So, common sense. Common went from common sense to common.
Yeah. Well, you know, we didn't Google.
They don't want us to
We
be
didn't.
powerful.
We didn't Google. You know, we thought of the name. We should have done that. You know, artists. That's a lesson. Do a Google search. We didn't do a Google search. We just like, you know what? It's been the three of us. Us three, and we just kind of rolled with that. And you know, yeah, it was both a gift and a curse. You know, yeah, yeah.
Whenever we get this Uber driver, like, then you gonna play that group name that we can't say, formerly known
Absolutely.
as.
Formerly known as. Yeah, yeah.
But y'all, this is Geno. It was so good talking to you. What's that
She got
Google
jokes. She
Taylor
got
coming
jokes. She
through
got
with the
jokes. She got jokes.
with that
Yes,
home run?
jokes.
She's like, hold on, wait, I got a home run real fast, real fast.
Touche. Yeah.
But anyway, thank you so much for being a part of the show, Geno. I really appreciate it.
Nah, my pleasure, man. And thank you for the invitation. Thank you for the invitation. Hit me up anytime, man. I got you.
No problem. I will, and you know I will.
Yeah.
So I'll talk to you soon.
All right now. Thank y'all.
Bye.
Peace.
So you guys, like, that's it. That's the show. You know, we've had some. Taylor, I'm still laughing at you. Because you know he got on me on my age. So thank you. But no, I mean, some wonderful people, Brittany, Geno, you know, and I'm very, very humbled that they accepted the invitation. Hopefully you guys had some takeaways. Maybe I'll jot some notes down about Restaurant Week, or, you know, things that Brittany said about businesses and your challenges. And hopefully it inspired you in some type of way, because I know I had some takeaways today. So you guys, y'all enjoy the rest of y'all Sunday. This will be on my Toy Point computer page. I am going to download it here, but I'm also going to have it on my Facebook page on Tuesday. Toy Sibley, TOI Sibley. All right, you guys. All right, signing out. Y'all have a good night.